Schwetmik has a responsibility and the obligation to identify the unmarked graves found within our jurisdiction.
Kamloops residential school findings are released.
I'm Craig Huckerby. If you like perfect 10 weather, we got it this weekend.
I'm Jacob Moore here with all your sports. The Jays have not been able to play in Toronto in almost 2 years, and they might be coming back pretty soon.
News at Night with Colette Linden.
Good evening. Welcome to News at Night. I'm Colette Linden. In May, news spread that the Tusa-Kamloops-Tusaquelam Nation had found what was believed to be 215 children in unmarked graves. Now, 2 months later, researchers gathered virtually and in Kamloops to address their findings through ground-penetrating radar. Researchers focused their search primarily on the area around an apple orchard. Knowledge keepers remembered being woken up in the middle of the night to dig graves for children in that area. Researchers were able to determine that there are several burial sites and can see the size and depth. But until the area can be excavated, it is too soon to determine a final number of bodies buried. Lisa Hodgetts with the Canadian Archaeological Association says this is just the beginning and there are more than 100 more sites to search across the country. She says that will be both expensive and traumatic, and governments will need to step up to provide the resources for communities to get closure.
So looking at some of these next steps, we'll be looking at the student records. The Kamloops to Schwetmik has a responsibility and the obligation to identify the unmarked graves found within our jurisdiction. A critical first aspect to achieving those burdens is full and complete disclosure of the records held by the Canadian government and the Oblates of Mary Immaculate, specifically the student attendance records.
Also in attendance on Thursday evening was newly elected Assembly of First Nations head Roseanne Archibald. She says these are not discoveries but recoveries. The Kamloops Indian Residential School opened under Roman Catholic administration in 1890 and operated until 1969 under the federal government. Casimir says the Catholic Church also needs to completely open its records to help identify the remains. Since the discovery in Kamloops, other First Nations have reported similar devastating findings. The Cowessess First Nation reported 751 potential unmarked grave sites in Saskatchewan, and earlier this week another community in British Columbia confirmed 160 undocumented and unmarked graves at the site of a former residential school. The Penelaktic tribe in BC Southern's Gulf Islands did not say if ground-penetrating radar was used to examine the area where the Cooper Island Residential School once stood. The residential school was known as Canada's Alcatraz, and records indicate 2 sisters drowned while trying to escape the school in 1959. Public health restrictions on businesses and gatherings are rolling back further in Ontario today. Step 3 of the province's reopening plan allows for gyms, cinemas, theaters, museums, and other venues to reopen for indoor service. Dining inside restaurants is also allowed, and nightclubs can reopen with capacity limits. Social gatherings of up to 25 people for indoors and 100 people outdoors are permitted. The province is entering step 3 of the reopening plan a few days earlier than scheduled, and this is based on high COVID-19 vaccination rates and other positive public health trends. The changes took effect at 12:01 a.m. with rules around masks and physical distancing still in place. The majority of remaining restrictions in Ontario will be lifted as soon as 21 days after Step 3. The province has now moved into Step 3 of its reopening plan, which allows for gyms and restaurants to resume indoor operations, while cinemas, theaters, and other outdoor attractions can welcome customers once more after months of being shut down. Restrictions are being rolled back ahead of schedule thanks to positive pandemic trends and climbing vaccination rates. As of Thursday, 79% of adult Ontarians had received 1 COVID-19 vaccine dose and 59% had 2 shots. Ford said his government is not planning to mandate COVID-19 vaccines for workers in any industry, nor is it going to develop a provincial vaccine passport similar to one announced in Quebec to determine access to certain activities. Ontario is reporting 159 new COVID-19 cases and 10 deaths today. It is the 8th straight day the province has reported fewer than 200 new infections. The test positivity rate is 0.6%, down slightly from 0.7 1 week ago. There were over 28,000 tests completed in the last 24-hour period. There are 34 new cases in Grey Bruce, 25 in the region of Waterloo, 23 in Toronto, and 12 in Peel region. There were another 189 resolved cases, dropping the active active case count by 30. Monday was the only day in the last 2 weeks where new infections have outnumbered resolved cases. Cruise ships will be allowed back into Canadian waters sooner than expected, with the federal government announcing the ban will be lifted as of November the 1st, 2021. The Federal Minister of Transport says the prohibition of cruise ships in Canadian waters will end at that time if operators are able to fully comply with public health requirements. Cruise ship bans were first brought into last year as COVID-19 case numbers rose and as many infections were reported on leisure vessels. In February of this year, the federal government said its ban on cruise ships would be extended until February the 28th of 2022. However, Minister of Transport Omar Al-Gabra said on Thursday that progress made on the pandemic front means the government is able to look at easing some of these restrictions set earlier. According to the federal government, the cruise ship industry brings in more than $4 billion to the Canadian economy. It generates thousands of jobs across the country and plays an important role in tourism. Members of the City of Kawartha Lakes detachment of the OPP have arrested an individual in connection with what is now determined to be a homicide in the area of Fenelon Falls. On the morning of July 11th, officers responded to a call for assistance after a body was recovered from Sturgeon Lake. A post-mortem examination was conducted at the Centre of Forensic Sciences in Toronto. The deceased has been identified as 65-year-old Shirley Hatley of Sault Ste. Marie. Investigators have arrested and charged Norman May, who is 56 years of age, from Bruce Mines. The accused remains in custody after a bail hearing before the Ontario Court of Justice in Lindsay on July the 12th. The investigation continues under the direction of the OPP Criminal Investigation Branch. Last night, a single motor vehicle collision slowed traffic on Highway 17 north near Batchewana. It was reported that a rollover collision occurred in the area of the Canadian Carver. We have not received an update on cause or injuries. However, according to witnesses in the area at the time, police were on scene for a while and the roadway remained open.
Well, we had another warm day today for the history books. We hit 27 degrees under blue skies and some happy clouds, and we have some very warm temperatures for Saturday and Sunday too. We'll touch on your weekend weather when we come back.
On TV News, supported by the Canadian Bush Plain Heritage Centre, where adventure takes off.
On TV News, supported by Maker North, 3D printing, laser cutting, 3D design, education, prototyping, and more. Maker North, whatever it takes.
On TV News, supported by Need window coverings? Locally owned and operated, NAC completes window coverings from start to finish. Call or message us today to schedule your free quote and experience what NAC can do for you.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, another perfect night to head out to Rotary Fest and Rib Fest for tonight and also tomorrow because the weather is going to be ideal. We'll take a look at the radar and show you we don't really have anything to worry about. We do have a little bit of clouds that's not showing up here on the radar because it's a little lower than the radar can read, but those are just passing clouds. We don't have to worry about them. There's no rain in them. We're not going to see rain for at least until maybe Monday afternoon, Monday night. Other than that, we are just clear conditions for the entire weekend. Don't have to worry about this mess. That's not heading our way. Let's take a look at the temperatures. Another comfortable night as far as temperatures go for the overnight. 13 degrees here in the Sault, 9 degrees in Wawa, 15 degrees in Thunder Bay, 14s in Timmins and Sudbury. So another very comfortable night for sleeping. And then we're going to see those temperatures get really hot for this for Saturday and for Sunday. This is why we'll show you on the systems map. High pressure in the area. We're going to continue to just build up the heat here for the next couple of days as this high pressure sits over top of us. And then the other big news is that this high pressure dome here is actually a hot high pressure dome. It's a heat wave in the making, heat wave number 2 out west. Some of that is going to start bleeding over to us over the next week and a half. So it's going to be a very toasty week next week and even get a little hotter for the week after that. At least that's the setup right now. Right now for your 12-hour forecast, we're looking at sunny skies for your evening. Again, another beautiful night to go out for a walk or go down to Rotary Fest. 25 degrees for your evening, 13 degrees overnight with clear conditions. Clear conditions in the morning with plenty of sun, 15 degrees. And then we're going to up that up to about 28, 29 degrees for your day on Saturday and again on Sunday. A little more cloud on Sunday coming in, late day Sunday it should be. And then we do see a little bit, maybe a chance of a shower developing Monday afternoon into Tuesday morning. But temperatures still holding steady in the upper 20s for most of next week. And then we start to see the 28s and the 29s again for next weekend, though we could see a little bit of rain as well. That is your weather for right now. Have a great weekend. Jacob Moore is back with sports. And Jacob, the Blue Jays just may play in Toronto.
Well, Craig, the Toronto Blue Jays have been desperately trying to get back home. They haven't played in Toronto in over 2 years, making their homes in Florida and Buffalo. We have an update on the situation. The Jays might be coming home very soon. I'll have that plus the rest of your sports right after this break.
On TV News, supported by Nogda Windeman Family and Community Services. Be an alternative care parent. A child needs you.
On TV News, supported by James Seaton Mortgage Specialist. Your new home doesn't come with mortgage advice. I do. Call James Seaton Mortgage Specialist, RBC 705-975-1519. On TV News, supported by Rick Mooney, Sales Representative for Street City Realty. Sold, the sign you want, Rick the Realtor you need.
705 Sports with Jacob and Colette, Fridays at 4 p.m.
The Toronto Blue Jays are trying to get back in Toronto for July 30th, and the government has seemed to accelerate the process. The government and the Jays have been working non-stop, the federal government that is, to make this move happen. The Jays have not played at home in almost 2 years, and they are desperately trying to sort this out. The major hiccup is non-vaccinated players. Currently, as we're in stage 3, if you have both of your vaccines, you do not need to quarantine to cross the border as long as you have a work permit. Most of the players in the MLB have been vaccinated, and same with the coaching staff, but not all of them. This would become an issue if a player or a coach is not vaccinated. The coach and or player would not be able to travel with the team to Toronto. The MLB and the federal government and the Blue Jays are trying to figure out a way to work around. The deadline to make this happen for July 30th is tonight. The Toronto Blue Jays are getting back on the diamond tonight after the All-Star break. This is a very critical step for the Blue Jays. The All-Star game means it's the halfway point of the season. The Jays are currently sitting 3rd in the AL East, and they desperately want to make that jump. Tonight, they battle the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers have a much worse record than the Jays, sitting at 35 wins and 55 losses, while the Jays are sitting at 45 wins and 42 losses. The Toronto Blue Jays need to beat teams like this if they want any chance of making the playoffs. Game 5 of the NBA Finals is coming up this weekend, so let's break it down. These two teams, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, are tied at 2. Whoever's been playing the home games seems to have the home court advantage and wins the game. Game 5 can be the most important game in a series, and it's going to be this weekend. Whoever wins Game 5 on Saturday will take the home advantage. Winner of Game 5 over 80% of the time goes ahead to win the series. Both of these teams have showed strength in their offense and have also showed where they just don't quite have the depth. I'm expecting this to be another high-scoring game, as defense has not been a big factor in this series. The Canadian Football League has announced 10 players, coaches, or staff have received a positive COVID-19 test. They're in Tier 1 of their testing currently. They have tested over 6,000 players, coaches, and staff, and they have found these 10 positive results. This means that these people cannot join their teams whatsoever. They are quarantining and self-isolating in a designated safe area decided by the Canadian Football League. The CFL says they will continue to monitor symptoms and continuing testing to make sure everyone stays safe. The CFL also would not say which people have tested positive and which ones have tested negative. The CFL continued to explain that if this happens during the regular season, the players will not be allowed to travel with their teams, and they will fall into the CFL's safety protocols. Zach Bogosian won't be staying in Toronto, and he'll be moving on to the open market. Bogosian was a third pairing defenseman and had a pretty decent year with 4 assists and a +7. He was also a key player in the playoffs, and once he was injured, you could see it really hurt the Maple Leafs. The Leafs will need to find another defenseman who can fill these shoes. The Colorado Avalanche also will be losing a player, just like the Maple Leafs, but this one may sting a little bit more. Talks between Gabriel Landeskog and the Colorado Avalanche have stalled out. Landeskog has been the captain for the Avalanche for many years now and has been a very solid player. He had another very good season last year with 20 goals and 52 points in 54 games, adding another 4 goals and 13 points in 10 playoff games. There's been many rumors and speculations on where Landeskog could land, including the Toronto Maple Leafs. The rumors have came true and the Florida Panthers have bought out Keith Yandle. Keith Yandle has been a part of the Florida Panthers for many years and has been a staple to their defensive core. The reason for this move is the Panthers are looking to free up some cap space to try to improve their team for the future. The Panthers can't seem to make a real push for the playoffs with this group, and they feel getting rid of Yandle is going to help. By losing Keith Yandle, he has a salary cap hit of $6.35 million. This buyout will save the Florida Panthers $4 million on the next year's cap. This is a big move for the Panthers and will allow them to be more aggressive on free agent day. Sticking with the rumors, Zach Hyman looks like he is definitely on the move. We spoke about it earlier in the week how Hyman's agent was going to ask for permission to look for a trade and sign option. Kyle Dubas has given his agent this permission. This means that Zach Hyman is looking to sign with another team, but for the team to get Hyman early, they'll need to send something over to Toronto. Zach Hyman and the Toronto Maple Leafs have been working on a contract deal for the past few months and just can't seem to agree on a salary. Well, that's it for sports, but always stay locked to On TV and Sioux Online. We always got you covered on your sports news. And I just said news, so let's get to some news with Colette right after this break. Well, that's it for sports, but always stay locked to On TV and Sioux Online. We always got you covered on your sports news. And I just said news, so let's get to some news with Colette right after this break.
On TV News, supported by Gary Chervinsky, Exit Realty, Lake Superior. Buying a home is a big decision, so is choosing the right agent. Call Gary Chervinsky, broker at Exit Realty, Lake Superior, 705-257-5432. On TV News, supported by James Seaton, Mortgage Specialist. Your new home doesn't come with mortgage advice. I do. Call James Seaton Mortgage Specialist, RBC, 705-975-1519.
On TV News, supported by United Way. Help make your community a better place. Show your local love and donate today.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Holy shit, there's a tornado right there. Oh my God, I've never
The
seen
city of
anything
Barrie
like this.
will turn its attention to cleanup today after a twister tore through a neighborhood, damaging homes and injuring several people. Paramedics have said that 8 people were taken to hospital and several others were treated for minor injuries. Fire Chief Corey Mainprice said roughly 20 homes are considered uninhabitable, with 2 or 3 completely destroyed. Crews are expected to start making some of the repairs today, including patching up roofs that weren't too badly damaged. Mayor Jeff Liam says the community has already started coming together to support those who lost most to the tornado, donating food and supplies. He also noted that it's a familiar scene to many longtime Barrie residents, as a tornado killed 8 people and injured more than 100 others in the city back in 1985. Hundreds of homes in the Allendale neighborhood were destroyed.
Can't tell you how incredible it is that nobody has been killed.
On this day, we had a very intense low pressure system moving from Lake Superior and dragging down from the to the southwest. From that system was a very, very sharp cold front. A lot of very warm, moist air, unstable air ahead of it. Perfect ingredients for a big outbreak of severe thunderstorms and, unfortunately, for 2 devastating tornadoes.
On the 14th of July, officers with the Crime Suppression Unit arrested 31-year-old Shane Erdman on the strength of an outstanding warrant. Around 2:20 p.m., officers observed the accused driving in the area of Cathcart Street and Carmen's Way. Officers knew the accused to be wanted and they executed a traffic stop. At this time, officers identified the accused and confirmed he was wanted for failing to appear in court, and he was arrested. At the time of the arrest, officers observed a controlled substance in plain view, and a subsequent search of the vehicle vehicle found the accused to be in possession of approximately 3.5 grams of a substance believed to be pink fentanyl, 6 grams of a substance believed to be crack cocaine, 0.5 gram of a substance believed to be heroin, and drug paraphernalia. The estimated street value of the narcotics seized was $2,900, and he is charged and being held for bail court. On July the 14th, officers with patrol services charged Christopher Robinson with break-in and enter, who was 29 years of age. At around 3:30 in the morning, officers responded to a call of someone inside a business in the 500 block of Northern Avenue. Upon arrival, officers located the accused inside the business and he was arrested. A subsequent search found the accused in possession of break-in tools. He is charged with break-in and enter and possession of tools. He was released on an undertaking but is scheduled to appear in court on August the 30th. At approximately 9:45 this morning, emergency services responded to reports of a collision on Great Northern Road. Upon arrival outside the McDonald's entrance, it was confirmed that 2 vehicles had made contact in the northbound and left turn lanes. Both vehicles were eventually moved off the roadway by police, and firefighters cleaned up the fluids which had leaked onto the pavement. An ambulance could be seen leaving the scene, but it is unclear if anyone was injured in the incident. Great Northern Road was slowed for about 30 minutes while the situation was dealt with. At approximately 8:50 this morning, a reader tipped off Sioux Online to a vehicle versus a house in the city's West End. Upon arrival at Sherbrooke Drive, it appeared that a vehicle towing a construction trailer had hit the front side of a garage. Sioux police were seen taking a report, and paramedics were also observed working at the scene. It is unknown as to the cause or extent of any damages or injuries. Sioux Online has reached out to police services for comment. Thank you for joining me on News at Night. This is Friday, July the 16th. On behalf of Jacob Moore and Craig Huckerby, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday.